Hello scrapping friends, I'm Deborah and today I'm going to share with you how I made a mama and a baby giraffe, and then I'll show you how I put it on a completed layout. My favorite zoo animal is definitely the giraffe. I have so many giraffe ornaments and whatnot here at home. My kids can verify for that. What a Zoo 2, I made a giraffe, so then now I thought that I could make a colourful giraffe which looks more funky and page layout. And today I will be using the Vivid Melodies with this mama and baby giraffe. I've used all the designer papers from the 4 packs. With this one here, my first sample that I made, I've made that from an old paper pack which was locally grown, which is the mum giraffe. With the baby giraffe, I've actually just done that one out of cardstock. So today I will be showing you how I would do that in the Vivid Melodies in the 4 designer paper packs. So, and when we finish, I'll show you how to put it on a completed layer. This one's not actually all joined together, but I have cut it all out, but I will go through those measurements with you. So to start off, to make our giraffes, I'll just put them ones aside. So we're going to bring in my 13 by 13 inch mat and just get my notes. For the mum giraffe, we will be using our ovals and our blades. I will also be using the zebra stripe, and that's just for the mane down the side. And I will also be using our piece by piece punch with the 4 little designs on it, the heart, the 2 small circles and the moon shape. As I said, I'll be using the 4 different paper packs. So I've got some bits of scrap paper here from that. So I'm just going to go through my colours and see which I like. So the first one that we will be making would be the mum giraffe. So it's just a matter of going through what paper scraps or, you know, like leftover papers that you have that you want to make the mum giraffe in. So the first step, we will do the head. So I'm just trying to find a nice colour head that's not going to mix with what I already have. So I might give the mum a pink dark head. Yeah. So the head size is the 4 by 6 oval, which is your 3rd oval. And we will use the 3rd oval with the red blade. So I'm just going to cut that out, and that's on your inner track. So we have the head, and the next we'll do its nose, and the nose is done from our 2nd smallest oval, which is the one down from the 4 by 6. And also going to use the inner track with the blue blade. So matching your colours if you like. So I might give my mum giraffe maybe a pink face. So that's the inner track of the 2nd smallest oval with the blue blade. And that will sit on her face just like so. So then with the eyes, I've used the smallest oval with the blue blade, and I want to cut 2 of those on the inside track of your smallest circle. I mean oval, I should say, not circle. So small oval, inner track, blue blade, and you want 2 of those. And they sit on her face like that. And then they look a bit dark, so I might change her eye colour, and I might go with this lighter colour, I think. Just seems a little bit dark. So I'm just cutting out 2 more eyes. See how we go, and I might use them on the baby giraffe. I don't think I cut that quite properly. That looks better. So we have her eyes. Her tongue is actually the same size as we did the eyes, so that was the small oval with the blue blade on the inner track. So I might use one of these blue bits for her tongue and give her a blue tongue. The ears. So just, you don't have to coordinate the colours, you can do them any colours. Might give her some flower ears. Yeah, might do that. So with a pencil, so I'm just going to fold it over. This is a great little tip from Kylie Kingham, is to folding your paper over and self-drawing your ear, and then you have the same size. So I'm just self-drawing that, folding it over. So then when I cut that out, both ears match up. So now I'll just cut out her outer ear. Just trim along that fold. And I have her ears. So I'm going to use the same paper again. Oh, actually, I wanted to use the other side. I wanted to use flowers. So with that one that I drew on, I would just get my eraser and rub that out. So for the next one, you want to make it smaller than you did the first one. So it's going to be the inner ear. And as I said, this is a little trick that I've gotten from Kylie Kingham. So I'm just going to trim that. And then cutting the bottom so I can have 2 equal same ears, and this time I'll use the pink. So she's starting to come along nicely there. So the next thing to add to Mumma Giraffe, we might do her inner eyes, which I'm going to use the piece by piece punch. And looking at my colours, might give her some green eyes. So I'm going to punch out 2 of the bigger circles. And they will go like so. And then we want the nostrils on our giraffe. So I might use that blue again. So then I want to punch out 2 of the tiny circles. Which will just, where's my multi-purpose tool? They come in nice and handy. Oops. Very fiddly, these little ones. So as you can see, that's the start of our head of our mum giraffe. So I'm going to get my repositional tape and I'm going to start putting this together. So with the ears, I'm just going to put some repositional tape on that and just putting it up a little bit from the bottom, as so, because that bottom bit is going to be tucked behind the head. And there. Then I'm going to get my tape runner and put a little bit of tape runner down the bottom on both ears. So now I'll get my giraffe head, lining it up on my board, so like sitting it in between the squares, lining it up. And then I get my first ear and I'll put it on the side, and then my second. So that way that when you're lining it up and you've got it on the board, your ears are going to match on either side. So with the nose and the tongue, so that's just going to sit in the middle. And before I completely push that down, oh, wrong side, I'm going to place the tongue underneath. Just going to lift that. So just placing it in the middle. And then with the eyes, do exactly the same thing. Might use the orange, I think, now. So they're just going to sit just above the nose on like a little angle, as so. So now I'm just going to get my precision glue pen and I'm just going to put a little dollop there and there, placing the green eyes on. Just using my multi-purpose tool just to push that down. And then I'll do the same thing with the nostrils. Just one dot on each end at the top. And then I'll place down my blue tiny dots on top of that. Oops. So there's our mum giraffe head, just nearly finished. So now with the neck, so just finding a colour for her neck. Might go I'll use the yellow. And with her neck, it's going to measure at 1.5. So I'm just going to cut a 1.5 strip. I did do by 5, but that's depending on how long you want the neck and whereabouts that you're going to place it on your giraffe on the page. So the next thing I did with the neck, so with the 2 points, I've put the top one on the cutting line, dotted, and then the other one on the opposite side. So I want to cut that neck on an angle, on a slight angle. So it's bigger at one end and smaller at the other. So I'll do exactly the same thing on the opposite side. The top point on the cutting line and the bottom bit on the other side. Then you've got a thin end and then you've got the thick end down the bottom. So placing my head on my giraffe, using a little bit of tape runner, lining this up on the board, and I'm going to put the head on an angle. We do his little, oh, I can't remember what they were called. So we're going to do those now. And just going through my colours, I might do that on that nice orange. And with that, it's only probably about 1/8 thickness, which is cut in between your two cross stitches of your trimmer from the cutting line. So you can do them whatever length that you would like. So I will probably trim mine, but I've just made them that length to start off with. So I'm just going to put some repositional tape on the back. I'm going to place them up behind the head of the giraffe. So now I'll get my multi-purpose scissors and I'll trim them off. So now the top of that, I would bring in the piece by piece punch. Just go through the colours again. I might go the pink. So you want to cut 2 of the circles. Again, bringing in your precision pen, and I'll just put 2 little dots up the top and place them on top of those points. So now with the little shapes on the giraffe neck, there was no measurement that I did with that. All I did was got some, you know, bit of paper and just went in and out. So they're not the same size, they're not the same shape or anything like that. I've just randomly cut out a few different colours and added it to the giraffe. So I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm just going to put that down. So then I might put this one over that side, and then I'll trim that bit off. And then the orange, so that it's going to be covered up with the baby giraffe. So I'll probably put that about there. So I'll trim this bit off. So going in with just a few more different colours. So we're making a really bright rainbowy giraffe. A little bit of character and a little saraz about them both, the mum and the baby. So repositional. As I said, any size, any shape, it's up to you. So that's all I'm going to put on mine for at the moment. So I'm going to see how it lays out on my page, and then I might add a little bit more. So that's the mum. So now we're going to move on to the baby giraffe. And with the baby giraffe, just get out my book with my measurements. I'm going to probably do the baby's head in this pink, so like it looks matched. 4x6 oval again, which is your second largest, and then using with the blue blade on the inside track. I'm just hoping that I'm going to have enough designer paper to do this. So that's the 4x6, and it actually has 4x6 down the bottom, but it is your second largest oval, and you want the inside track with the blue blade. So there's the baby's head. So exactly the same process as what we did with the mum. So I might use that other blue bit on the other side maybe for the tongue. I'm just a little bit undecided at the moment. So then we're going to go on to the baby's nose, and that is your smallest oval with the green blade. So then we'll just find a colour for that. So I might use this one. So that's the smallest oval inside track with the green blade. And that will go on there. So just seeing if that looks okay. Yeah, I might use that blue one for the tongue. And then we go on to the eyes. And the eyes is also your smallest oval with the blue blade. Might give it some speckly eyes. So we want 2 of those. And then we need the piece by piece punch. And looking at the baby, we need 2 of the larger circles and 2 of the tiny circles, so exactly the same. So I'm going to use the green this time for the tiny circles. And then, so I've got the green. And then I might give her, let me see, maybe I'll see how this dark colour and see what that looks like. It might give us some dark eyes, some dark jazzberry. And I did jazzberry designer paper. So there's the eyes. So with the ears, exactly the same technique as I showed you that I got from Kylie Kingham, is getting a scrap piece of paper, folding it in half, and then tracing your ears and then cutting them out. It's a great way of doing ears, unless you find something else that you want to make your ears. It could be a punch. So I'm going to just fold this one in half, just here. So I'm going to probably use the blue. No, I'll do fold it the other way, because I might do the white on the outside. So as I did before, I folded that piece of paper in half, no measurement, just, you know, depending on how big you want your ear. And remember, it is a baby giraffe, so you want to do them a little bit smaller than what you did the mum's ears, but you can put them down a little bit more behind the head. And because I know that I have a green background, so I'm going to use the lighter colour for the outer ear, and then use a darker colour for the inner ear. So I'm going to use those 2, and then I might do exactly the same thing on the same colour, and then having the blue. So then just trimming it around. And then you place your ears as so. So now assembling the baby giraffe. We've got our ears glued together. We've got the nose and the mouth on the face, and just centering it again in the squares on your 13 by 13 inch mat. Putting a bit of tape runner down the bottom of the ears. and then just putting them on either side. So they match. So it's just lining up on the board, and you can see where you put the other one, so you got an even side of the head. So then with the eyes, just getting my multi-purpose tool, just going to lift the top of that nose bit, and with the eyes I put them slightly on an angle but overlapping each other. So then again with our glue pen, I'm going to put some dots in the middle and put our tiny circles on. So we've got the nose, so as you can see, it's a very colourful baby giraffe. And then the eyes. Looks like a bit of a devil with the blue ears. Okay, so then we'll go on to they're not called tentacles. I'm trying to remember the name, what they're called. It's a funny name. So now I'll do that. And again, I'm just going to cut a thin 1/8 strip. So that's in between our dotted from the cutting line to the next line over. I'm just going to cut that. Just leave the trimmer out. I mean, these are way too big. I know that I'm not going to have them that big. And I just put that tape on the wrong way because I want the speckles to show out. So just sitting it in between the head, and then you can just trim it. So now I'll just cut them away. So now again with my piece by piece punch, just need some bits for the top, which I might use the yellow. So I'm going to punch out 2 circles of the yellow. Precision point pen again. Comes in very handy with all these little fiddly bits and placing them and gluing them together. Let's get my multi-purpose tool and just give it a push down so it can start to work its little magic. So the next step is doing the neck of your baby giraffe, and we did the mum 1.5. So on the baby giraffe, I'm going to do her neck. Yeah, I might do the darker colour. So I'm going to do that at 1 inch. So cutting that at 1 inch. So there's not really any length. I think this might be about 4, just guessing. It's about 4. So then I'm going to do exactly the same thing, is making the top of the neck and the bottom of the neck a little bit wider. So I'm just going to slightly cut up. That one didn't really cut down, so I'm just going to trim that. So then I'll flip over and then do exactly the same thing. So then I'm going to put a bit of tape runner on the back of the head of the baby giraffe. So now I want to bring in my mum again to the baby giraffe, and you want to put the head opposite. So you've got the mum's going to the left, so you want the baby's going to the right. So then once they sit together, they'll be sitting something like this. Can move it off a bit if it's don't want it touching, but something like that. Cutting out some little spots for your giraffe. So I'm just randomly cutting these. There's no particular size, as I said with the mum giraffe. It's just wiggling around and cutting some. So I'm just going to place them on her. I might put one under her head here. So it comes out. And the yellow one. Might trim that off. And then going back through my colours, might do a bit of pink. It's the same sort of pink that we used for her head. Just take that, get my scissors and just trim it off. If you want to add more, you can add more. So the next thing I'm going to do is do the giraffe's mane. You don't see much of the mum's one, but I might put a little bit on there. And when I did that, I self-punched it. So I just put the zebra stripe in the punch, and all I've done was done my first punch. Because this is not very long, I didn't make it very big. So I'm just going to cut that up a little bit more. So it also depends on where you're going to have your giraffe. So I'm just going to put some repositional on that. So I'm just going to angle that a bit. I might cut a little bit more off the top. Just down that way. I do it that, angling it like that way. So then we want to do the baby. So you can also split it a little bit like that if you don't want it completely on the face. So I'm going to cut the baby's mane now. So I'm just trying to figure out what colour we could do that. Something maybe I haven't used. Just going through my bits here. The blue's too much. I'll give it some flowers. So again, just going to self punch. So I'm just going to go over twice in this one. You're going to see a lot more of the baby's mane than what you would of the mum. So I'm just going to self cut down the bottom. Then put some repositional tape on. And you've got the, separate them too. The baby giraffe, and also putting it on a slight angle. As so, and then I would just give her a little bit of a haircut. So now that I've brought in my base layer, I'll just get my measurements, and I've actually done a 1-inch frame. So I've used that butterscotch, done a 1-inch frame. I did cut out the hollow, and then on top of that I've done a 10 by 10 piece of cardstock, so that gave me that 1-inch frame border around my cardstock. So the next step I did was I cut another strip, which is 7 3/4 by 2 1/2, and then I have another strip which is 7 inches by 5 1/2. So what I am going to do is I'm going to put some repositional on the back of both of these pieces. So I'm going to use the centering ruler, so 1 inch from my cardstock. So I'm designing this as we go. I mean, I've based out the base design earlier, but this all is as I'm going with the other measurements of where I want to place my papers. So then I'm measuring 1 inch from the edge. So I'm going to place that in the middle of the green. And the photos that I'm using today are, the photo sizes are 4 1/2 by 3 1/2, and that's both of them, 4 1/2 and 3 1/2. And my mats on the bottom are 4 3/4 by 3 3/4. So when I place them down, I want them to sit like so, probably about there. I'm thinking like still showing a bit of the yellow and the green, and then sitting a little bit on the tangerine cardstock, but still having some yellow at the other end. So more or less something like this. And then now if I bring in my mum and my baby giraffe, so with that, deciding if I want to split it a little bit from the other one so that the other one I actually put together. So I'm just going to put some repositional tape on the back of the baby giraffe. So then now might put that probably around about there. So as I said earlier, you might not see the mum's mane, so that could be optional if you want to put that there. I'll add some more spots on my giraffe to make it a little bit more colourful. So I'm just going to put some tape runner on the back, of the head. I put some repositional on the back of his mane. Might help to stick and hold for me. There we go, that's better. So then I want to place it on my page like so. So what I would do now is I would bring in my 12-inch trimmer again. And this is why I didn't really measure the bottom part of my giraffe, is because then I can trim it to the size that I want. So I'm just going to bring that in, just lining it up on the line. So hopefully that will. So now I've got that straight edge. I can actually put that edging on the bottom of my tangerine cardstock there on the base layout. So then we have your photos like so. And the only other thing that I think this page needs, it needs something else over on the other side. So I might end up giving the giraffe some 3D dimension with some foam squares. The other thing I was thinking about using is the 5-leaf punch and putting some leaves on my layout. And then also with the paper packs that came out, they brought in some Vivid Melody border stickers. And in the border stickers, you've got this one strip that just has the single leaves. which are these ones here. So I think I'm going to use them also on my layout and place them on the side with some leaves coming out on this side and on the other side. So that completes my layout. I will complete it all and then I will post it at the end of this video, but that's today showing you how to make a mum and a baby giraffe using our custom system ovals. And like I said, you can make them colourful, you can make them funky, it can be a funky giraffe page, and that's just using the ovals and the blades and our piece by piece punch, and it makes a gorgeous layout. I hope you enjoyed my video today. Any questions or queries, just drop me a comment and I'll get back to you. And happy scrapping!